Finance Committee, Vice Chair Michael Martins, and I do have a quorum of members present. So we'll start things off with item number 1, minutes of the previous meeting from June 15th, 2021. Any discussion? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, a motion from Herbst, second from Ryan. Discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Item number 2, discussion and possible action regarding budget modification, facility engineering services. And I know there's a little bit of information in our packet here, but you want to have either, Mary, do you want, you or Eric want to walk us kind of through this?
I think Eric can come up.
Okay. I think we do have some questions on this one.
Yeah, so last year we had sent out an RFP. We had Barrientos start putting together some plans for us for a new facility maintenance shop for our streets and construction division. They did some layouts over there and where we needed to acquire additional properties, we needed more space over by streets. And so then we went through the facilities plan with Mercury, as most of you know. And what we want to do is incorporate those suggestions on that initial plan into this plan that Barrientos put together initially. And we also want to take a look at the property at 1300 Cleveland to see if that's an opportunity to put a new maintenance shop there. And then what that would look like on a layout. So that's part of these costs too. These costs are all part of our 21 budget. We're just moving money around to accommodate this, so this is not adding to the budget at all. So if anyone has any questions.
Okay, so I know so this is, we're just reworking the existing plan and not.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. In accordance with what Mercury had suggested.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So we can kind of see if how big the facility has to go and how it's going to lay out on the properties.
Because I don't think those 4 properties on, was it Myron Street there, they were initially in the original plan for the maintenance shop. They were, wasn't that sort of an add-on or a?
Yeah, we were
option?
looking at the potential for purchasing those properties. Yep.
Okay.
And so, and we weren't exactly sure how much that would cost, and we don't have money to really make offers or anything right now. And so we're looking at the other option then would be at 1300 Cleveland, which you already own and are working on. So maybe have a couple different options through the capital budget this year if we can get this done.
All right, committee? Questions, otherwise a motion? Okay, motion from Ryan, second from Watson. A discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries.
Thank you.
Number 3, discussion and possible action regarding budget modification hot mix. And again, this is, you're just moving money around.
That's correct.
Within the 2021 budget.
That's correct, yeah. So what we wanted to do is, it seems like the patching in the hot mix budget, it seems like endless repairs right now. So we were able to do some savings on the crack ceiling, savings on those savings, and so we'd like to bring that money over and keep our paver moving through the rest of the summer. I think the 60,000 will do it, so.
Okay, yep. So, was that a motion? Yep. Okay, motion from Ryan, a second from Watson. And I think, yeah, it certainly is better to put more money into the hot mix for more permanent repair than it is for the temporary one. Mm-hmm. So I like that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that also carries.
Thank you.
All right. Moving along, number 4, discussion and possible action on amendment for storage space of Stone Mill Historic Sawmill structure with Andy Johnson. And this is something, I remember in the last term, we extended the lease on this, but that lease now is up again.
I don't remember this.
I don't recall who was kind of managing this. is the attorney's office doing that?
I was not involved with this, but I do know that, so there's not anywhere to put it right now, so that's why it's just now being amended to a month-to-month basis until, I guess, basically we figure out what we're going to do with it. But yeah, Ann drafted this resolution and the amendment.
Okay,
It's a very short amendment, which they're all like that.
but the terms of the lease aren't going to change?
Nope, it's
just
still all the same. Everything from the lease is the same, except for now it's just a month-to-month until we end it.
Wasn't this,
Go ahead, Deb.
wasn't this about the old, the property that was on CVS? It was a building center, and then a lot of it was torn down, and they wanted to save this portion, wasn't that it? So
Yep.
we're talking about over, I don't know, 10 years ago or more.
Yeah. It's been
Okay.
in storage a long time.
Yeah, that was the old, Stone Building Center, portion of
Okay.
their structure. I think, if I recall, the South Riverfront plan that was released a year or so ago did feature utilizing that building, so there are options for it. But, yeah, it's still nothing, I guess, set in stone.
Okay.
Okay, do we have, I'll entertain a motion. Motion from Herbst.
I'll
Second
second.
from Ryan. Any more discussion?
I would just add that the Community Foundation has paid for a number of years of those storage costs because they saw the historical significance of the building and its potential. So the city taxpayers have not been funding all of the costs.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So, all right. With that, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And it carries. And number 5, discussion and possible action regarding budget modification, election budget to purchase Badger books.
Yep, and I just would add, right now, there is, we've concluded the elections for 2021, and there are funds left in that budget, and so, and Leslie's going to justify the idea of these purchases, but that's where the funding would come from. So it's more like a change of purpose than it is, moving money around from different locations.
Okay. And with the Badger books, now that's an electronic system then for, it's, the voter roll is stored electronically, and then the voters interact with what, like an electronic device when they check in or register, or?
Correct, so it would be an
Okay.
electronic poll book instead of having to have the paper copies.
Mm-hmm.
And then the voter would come up to the voter station, everything would be on that one little device. Sarah Watson was one of the poll workers that joined in with me on the training also, so she probably has some things to add. But it would help us in the matter of, we would need less poll workers, everything is automated, you have much less chance for errors by your poll workers. It just creates efficiency.
And I think concluding the election today, we don't know how people voted, but we know you voted. And so we have to go in and mark every person who voted. So on, years of high turnout, that can take us, like days and days of just recording. We call it binking that voter in because of, how they signed on. And that is eliminated then if you use a Badger book, because it's already noted that the voter voted.
Correct. You might think that's not a big deal, but we had people calling the day after the presidential election saying, why can't I see that I voted on the My Vote system, which interacts with that? And for instance, the Village of Weston, who did have Badger books, they already had some of that information up. So voters are watching and do want that to be able to see it.
So that allows us to reconcile between who's checked in on the poll books and and cast a ballot.
Yes, so then like
Okay.
the next day, instead of having to, like Mary Ann said, bank everything in,
Mm-hmm.
I would put a flash drive in, upload it to the state of Wisconsin system, and it would automatically then be integrated into the side that the voter sees.
Okay. Good deal. Yep.
It sounds to me like in the long run, it will really pay off because you will have less poll workers that you have to have on board then as well.
They're not hearing us very well.
Oh, I forgot to put my, I have a big voice. She just turned me on, I turned me off. Are we on now? Okay.
So you may want to repeat your.
In the long run, apparently, it sounds to me that we will be saving a lot of money due to the fact that we will not need as many poll workers as we've had in the past. Is that correct?
That is correct. And to that
Thank you.
point as well, I mean, if you think back to 2020 and the pandemic-related challenges that we had, in a situation where you have to quickly shift and maybe you don't have as many poll workers to work with, this would make even, like contingency planning an easier thing to do.
Okay, Watson?
So definitely, like, going through the training was so fun, and it's really efficient, and there were a lot of different poll workers that were present, and, I mean, we picked it up really quickly. So, I mean, I think training's not going to be that hard to do. It's really easy. It'll take the, human error out of it a little bit more. It's really easy to register people on the day of election, which is cool. And then, yeah, so I love the Badger books.
Okay.
And we would point out, this is just getting us a part of the way into implementation. So, we have how many polling sites? 7?
We have 6 polling sites
Polling
total.
sites. So we'll have 3 sites up with this. So we still have a little ways to go.
Okay, Deb?
I was just going to mention that there are some of our older residents that have never used computers. So for some, I think from your experience, Sarah, are you thinking that this is something that could be easily, with some assistance, helping some seniors do? Or
To
for
actually,
those that are scared, may want to go with the absentee ballot?
Well, and that's what, there was they sort of gave us suggestions on how to word that, like if somebody's not that comfortable using the electronic device. I mean, it's really easy if you're checking in, because all you have to do is just, touch an iPad and sign your name like you would for a credit card, right, machine or something like that. But it's also, we're told that if you don't feel comfortable doing it this way, because that's the way it's going to be done now, you can do absentee.
And-
Well, it
and-
just happens, my neighbor, she has no credit cards, that's 84. So there are some of our neighbors that are not anywhere have anything to do with computers.
I just want to point out, though, to clarify, the voter doesn't have to do anything on the computer besides sign their name. I mean, if they're not comfortable to show at the check-in, we haven't decided if we're going to have the poll worker ask the questions and say yes or no, or have the voter do it. But the ballot and everything will be the same, and the only part on the computer that a voter would have to do is sign their name. That's it.
So we're still staying with paper ballots, but this is just an electronic check-in system.
Correct.
So,
This replaces the poll book.
yeah. And there'd be poll workers there to walk anybody through that has any questions or concerns.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Watson, a second by Ryan. Any further discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. All right. And then number 6, discussion and possible action regarding budget modification to fund the acquisition of up to 4 used buses for a total not to exceed $16,000. I think I see Greg in the audience. If you want to, Greg Seubert, if you want to give us a little bit of rundown on this too. So,
I would love to. Good evening. We recently completed our annual vehicle inspection as required by law, and we had to remove 3 vehicles from service due to structural issues. These vehicles were acquired used more than 5 years ago. We hope to get 3 years out of them, and here we are at the very end of their useful life, and we're kind of in a pickle. We've been looking for used vehicles elsewhere to acquire. We have new buses on order. Unfortunately, they don't go into production until December. So in September, when school starts, we have no spare vehicles. And so we are looking for 3 or 4 used buses, and we've been looking for a number of months. We can't acquire them unless we have money in place. Most transit systems will go out to bid, put them out for auction, and so we need to be in a position to bid when they become available. We are also working on a secondary track with another transit system to try to transfer vehicles, but we would need funding available at the time to make that happen as well. So we just want to be in a position to acquire
or bid when that opportunity arises. So that's what this request is all about.
All right. And 16,000, that's enough to acquire 4 vehicles then?
We would acquire them for a little more than scrap value.
Okay.
We would likely acquire them, if this transfer works out with the transit system we're currently working with, it'll probably be about $1,500 a bus. I budgeted $4,000 per bus in case we have to go out to bid somewhere else and get something a little newer. We just want to be prepared for all circumstances.
All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Deb?
I'll go ahead and recommend.
Okay, so a motion by Ryan. Do you have a second? Second by Watson. Any further discussion? And these are going to come out of Metro Ride reserves, so that's, okay, that's good. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And it carries. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And so number 7, a discussion and possible action on 2021 budget modification for additional environmental testing at 1300 Cleveland Avenue. Bring Eric back up here. So.
Yeah, so I appreciate this. I know this was an addendum, it came in late. This is the next phase of the testing over at 1300 Cleveland. Came in at $98,500. The majority of that testing, or that cost, is just for the lab work and the field work in order to get those tests. So DNR has reviewed the work plan. We kind of went back and forth. There's some additional testing that was added, and then this is going to be our final cost for this at this point. We'll get these tests back. We'll review them. We'll submit them to the DNR. We'll have discussions whether additional testing is going to be required depending on what we find, or, if we'll move on to the next phase. So.
All right. Do we have any questions on this? Or Sarah?
So the environmental fund, right? Is that the one-time pool that you were
Yes.
talking about before? And this wouldn't exhaust it, right? There'd still be funds in there?
Right, there still would be funds, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, how much of it, do you know?
I would guess there's about $1 million in there right now.
Also, I see that this is, you got the TID finance just checked on there. Is that a,
Oh, that must be an old
Okay.
box checking. Yeah,
Okay.
so this used to be in TID 6, but TID
Yep.
6 expenditure period closed, so it would no longer be an eligible expense.
okay. So it's all out of the environmental fund.
Yes.
Any other questions? Or otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Okay, a motion from Herbst, second from Watson. Further discussion? Not hearing anything. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that will also carry.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn by Watson, second, Herbst. And we don't have to vote on this. We are adjourned.
Awesome.